Hey, Chris Denari joining us at the top of the hour here. Pacers win so special, we had to get him in early today, here early in the season. So, Chris joining us early. Chris, how you doing? Dustin Schutte with us as always as well. Dustin, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Jim, how are you?
Wonderful. Chris, are you on the road or are you?
No.
I didn't know if that game was at home or last night. I don't remember.
Yeah, we had a home game, and then we have a home game tomorrow. I just have a television meeting in my normal spot. Usually, I'm on with you guys about 10 o'clock, but we've got a television meeting with our Valley Sports partner today. So that's why I'm on a little bit early, but always good to do the show every Thursday morning.
Man, we appreciate you. Hopefully, great news for the Valley viewers, but they can get that situation rectified sometime soon because everybody wants to see the Pacers, baby. Dustin, you're the big Pacers fan. No jersey on today, though. But did you get to watch the game last night, Dustin?
I did not. I had stories to write last night, so I've got to go back and through my Valley Sports app and go back and rewatch the game from last night. But I know that
Good
the big
man.
story. I know what I know the storylines. A couple of them. One was Domantas Sabonis with another double-double. Obviously, it's preseason, so you don't take too much away. But then again, the play from Chris Duarte, and I don't care. Excuse me, I don't care who you are and when it is. Anytime you see a rookie play as well as he did last night, I think that's a positive sign heading into the regular season.
No, there's no question about that. You know, it was an interesting night because Memphis. Ironically, they play 6 preseason games, which is the most that any team is playing. The Pacers are playing just 4. So Memphis last night opted to rest virtually all of their frontline players. Jaren Jackson didn't play, Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, a number of their starters. The Pacers had a number of guys out. Malcolm Brogdon had tweaked his shoulder. Justin Holiday had sprained an ankle. I think if it was a regular season game, those guys would have played. Karis LeVert didn't play, T.J. Warren. So he had a lot of frontline players on both teams that were sitting out. But these games are still very important, especially for the Pacers, because you have a new coaching staff, you're trying new things, and especially when you look at the 2 rookies. And they are playing very well right now. Duarte's in the starting lineup. He had 21 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Isaiah Jackson came off the bench, the rookie out of Kentucky. In 16 minutes, he had 9 points and 4 rebounds. A super athletic player. So that's what these games are about. Yeah, I think it was important for this group to win. Jeremy Lamb played great in the fourth quarter. He had 15 of his 20 points. Remember, 2 years ago, he had an ACL injury. Last year, just didn't play like himself. So games like this are important for a guy like Lamb to gain confidence going into the regular season. So, it was good to get the win. That wasn't the most important thing in the preseason, but it was just seeing guys play and continue to grow.
And we're 3 games into this 4-game preseason so far. Through those 3 games, what do you think is maybe the biggest difference right now, if there is a biggest difference between last year's team and what you've seen? I mean, we're 3 games in, it's the preseason. Maybe you don't see a lot, but is there a biggest difference that stands out to you right now?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, I would think the one thing that they want to do, as they did last year, is shoot the 3, but they have not shot the 3 very well at all. They were 0 for their first 13 last night. They were just 5 of 25. I think that will get better. I mean, Jeremy Lamb is a 40% career 3-point shooter. He was 0 for 5 last night. So I do think that will get better. Rick Carlisle will say after watching last night that the defensive intensity wasn't what it needs to be or what it should be when the regular season comes. And I think we all know that last year that was the Achilles heel. They gave up 115 points per game. It was the worst. It was the most points that the Pacers have ever given up in an NBA season. So while they averaged 115 points, they also gave up 115 points. So the defense definitely has to be better. Last night, they struggled in defending the 3. Sam Merrill, who played at Utah State, played at Milwaukee last year. He hit 8 threes. And the Pacers gave up a number of corner threes, and that's something that you don't want to do. So there's no question that the defense, all of it is a work in progress, and we'll be able to make a better judgment about this team, easily a month into the year.
Last week, I think it was, we talked about Miles Turner coming out of that. At the time, I think it was the first preseason game, saying they didn't come out with enough intensity on the defensive end and they weren't in the right mindset and attitude. I'm just curious, you've been covering this team a long time, doing the play-by-play a long time. How difficult is it for these players when you've played in the regular season, when you've played in the playoffs, you've played in a lot of meaningful games? How difficult can it be to try to go into a preseason game knowing the results don't matter with that same sort of intensity, try to get your mindset before the regular season starts?
Well, I think that's a good point. You're playing these games. The minutes are important. The outcome is and is not important. I mean, I've seen some of the preseason games where teams are just getting blown out. You don't want that to happen. I mean, even though the game doesn't count, you want to put up a reasonable showing as far as the outcome is concerned. But the one thing that you're trying to do is you're trying to put players in positions that they will find themselves in the regular season. And that's why last night, with the game tied at 107 and the Pacers with the basketball in the final 20 seconds, it's something that Rick Carlisle and his staff work on every day. They put a time up on the clock and work on situations, but it's practice. Last night it was a game, and the Pacers were able to come through, run an isolation play for Jeremy Lamb. He hit the shot to put them ahead, and then the Pacers had to play defense for the final 3 seconds to win the game. Those are things, even though you can create in practice, Justin, again, it's just practice. It's not the game. So I thought last night was very valuable for the Pacers as far as that was concerned.
And, one of the things, too, going back to Rick Carlisle's press conference was, working a way to, or finding a way to play Sabonis and Miles Turner at the same time, but also having some sort of staggered, sort of lineup at times to try to throw defenses and other teams off. What do you think the approach is going to be using those two guys? I think it's more important on the defensive end. I think both those guys can produce offensively. I think they've shown that. My questions come on the defensive end. I think Miles Turner's a little bit more versatile, and Sabonis is more of a guy who can protect the basket. I mean, Miles protects the basket pretty well, but Sabonis is a little bit more one-dimensional on that side. How do you think Rick Carlisle is going to use those two guys throughout the course of this season?
That's definitely the dilemma on the defensive end. You hit it, because Miles' strength is protecting the rim. He led the NBA in block shots last year at 3.5. And he is versatile enough that he can get out on the perimeter and defend. But Domas's weakness, even though he can protect the rim, he's not as strong as Miles. So I think what you will see is the way they stagger him, especially early. I think those two start together, play 5, 6, 7 minutes. One of the bigs comes out, and then that big comes back in to start the second quarter. So I think that you'll see them play together, maybe 15 to 18 minutes per game, and they'll be staggered at other points. And then I think as the game plays out, it will depend how Rick Carlisle wants to go. He has a number of different options: Isaiah Jackson, O'Shea Brissett, from a big standpoint. And then you have to factor in foul trouble and, unfortunately, injuries. We know that Miles Turner last year missed the final 16 games. Domantas Sabonis missed 10 games during the year. So you're probably going to have, knock on wood, 10 to 15 games where you may only have one of them. So I think it will all work out in the end. I think from an offensive end, we're seeing Miles Turner put the ball on the floor and drive to the basket. His first 2 baskets last night were drives. That also opens up his ability to shoot the three, and also just gives this team some versatility offensively that they may not have had the last couple of years.